Because of the weather, I'm expecting a sparse crowd tonight. Last Friday we had 70. Very cool. Let me see the I had a program up here. I do have a program up here. Is that helium on 12? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to ask an interesting question before we begin. I have this chasm between the first couple rows and the back rows. Is there a reason? If there's, yeah. Barb, come on up. Guys, move up a little. Sean, move up a little bit, Guys. I promise I will warn you if there are any, sacrificial offerings from the altar, and you'll have, or if I'm going to do the sledge-o-matic routine. Does anybody know that reference?
No.
You don't know sledge-o-matic?
No.
Oh my goodness. Robin's never heard of sledge-o-matic. It's Gallagher. Now you have an assignment. You have to YouTube Gallagher.
Okay.
So. Okay, this is better. I mean, it's all about me, my comfort zone, right? But Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
I am extra blessed that you weathered the storm, or is that a bad pun? Anyway, to get here. Know that there are parts of the area that it's actually cold enough so that that's ice and snow as opposed to little ice and water. But thank you for risking, but make sure you're safe going home as well. Okay, when it's time. But in the meantime, we are going to be celebrating tonight. Shabbat will be putting the week that has been aside. We will be beginning a weekend of celebration for your family. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Cricket, who you'll meet in just a moment, and then if you're here in the morning, which I please encourage you to be, is that Cricket is not sitting on the front row right now. Cricket is not up here right now. Cricket is back with friends and having a good time, and it's very down to earth. This is, very, very cool. So we're going to begin, though. We're going to be using Mishkan Tefillah, this blue book. We're going to begin with Hine Matov. I believe it's in here on what page? Page 8? I can't believe it's page 8. Well, the words, Hine Matov is pretty easy, so.
We'll find it.
It's on page 10.
128.
No, you're right, wrong book. Yeah, you're on 128.
128. And then we can do Lechadodi page 2. Okay, and that's 138.
128, then 138.
Okay.
So let it be written, so let it be done. Oh, wrong holiday.
Where's that?
Now we continue with Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Sabbath bride, page 138. Lecha Dodi So, Cricket, if you'll bring your parents up here, we're going to light candles and do Kiddush.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Small candle. Amazing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Continue with Kiddush. Take the cup in your hand. It's grape juice, so it's okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
When she's done, just read that.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kadsho b'ahavah u'ratzon hilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta v'tanu kiddashtach mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodecha v'ahava u'ratzon v'chilanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Read and then drink.
The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God stopped on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on that day God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
And l'chaim. You can take a sip. Yeah. Share it with folks if you want. It's only grape juice. It's okay. You want to stay up here? You want to go down? Way back up there. Wait. We'll go down with your family, though. Hug them first or whatever. You know. Thanks. Just fist bumps? Okay. I get a fist bump? And with that, we're going to continue as we formally welcome ourselves into worship. Page 146, please rise for Baruch. Page 151. Let's read together at the bottom, please. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Continue on 152 with Shema. Please be seated.
וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 157. At the bottom, we read responsively, please. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The heavens
May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we are delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Ya la la
La la la la la la la.
ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 mi hamo haba eni madonai mi hamo hane darba kodesh norati hilo to sefele norati hilo to sefele Malchut harahu varnecha okayam lifnei Moshe Miriam Ze'eni anu ve'amru Ze'eni anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot osefele Nora tehilot osefele
Ya la. You can do this part. La 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la la la. Page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. So on page 162 at the top, we're going to find the words to the piece V'shamru, and it's taken actually from the book of Exodus. And there's something unique about this, this liturgical piece, and this is when you're going to know that the rabbis have way too much time on their hands, okay? So there are 24 unique words in Vishamru. Why? 24 hours you're supposed to take off for Shabbat. Now there are 26 words in Vishamru, but the word Et HaShabbat appears twice, okay? So, so when you think about this, where it says we're supposed to keep and honor the Sabbath, they give you the instructions right in there, because if you were to meditate on one word an hour, it would take you the entire Shabbat to get through the prayer. Okay, now who's going to volunteer to do this next week and let me know how it worked? So we are on page 162. We'll continue with Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat
לעשות
et
את
HaShabbat
דורותם ברית
לעולם. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם.
ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Page 164, we're going to move from appreciation into tefillah, or introspection, or prayer. And so from this point in through the most of the rest of the service, we're going to be, in the prayer book, we're going to be talking about the things that we need to pay more attention to so that we can give it more attention as we walk through this world. So with that, if you rise on page 164, we embark on prayer.
Adonai, sifat ufi itilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory.
166.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imateinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol,
וזוכר חסדי
V'Avod v'Imahot, U'Mevi'il La'aliv Mevneihem, Lema'an Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah.
Page 171.
Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illuminates the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, "How filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it." Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated.
Good job. Thanks, Ruby. Top of 173, let's read together, please. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. So, how many of us have something that we're thankful for? Anybody want to share something major this week?
Just before service today, my cat started vomiting everywhere. My brother cleaned it up so I could come to service.
And you got your Hebrew name this evening, right? Good. Yeah. That deserves an applause. You've earned it. Amen. 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 You know, we know that there's things that touch our lives, but we don't often think beyond our own stuff. And there's so much going on in this world that we know move people to a place where they are feeling blessed when they were struggling. And we know that there are people who are struggling who need to feel blessed. And it's our job to help find ways to put people into a place where they have things to be thankful for and can acknowledge it. And so with that, I'd like you to take a moment and think about how you can add to their sense of shlemut, their peace, their wholeness in this world. And as we're thinking about ways to bring wholeness into this world, we're thinking about people specifically who are in need of those prayers. In this community, Dorothy Parent, Honey Kibler, Lois Gallowitz, Nathan Snyder, Kenner Judith Avadia. If there's other people that we're holding in prayer, please share their names, and as a community we can reach out. Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We ask God to help us become instruments of healing. This is Shabbat Zachor. Several of the Sabbaths across the calendar have special names because of things that are happening around the calendar, around holidays or events. And this is, Shabbat Zachor is always the week, the Sabbath before Purim. Of course, Purim is coming up this weekend, where we will have our own unique, very unique celebration of it here in Lehrman Chapel, Sunday at 7. If you've paid attention to the title, as many words as it is, I don't remember it offhand, but it is disorganized. It is put together at the last minute by some very brave actors, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Okay? So please join us for that. But it's Shabbat Zachor, and it's called Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of remembrance, because we're supposed to remember on this Shabbat stuff that's happened in the past that's led us to be more vigilant, pay more attention. And there are two traditions. One tradition is we're supposed to read from the book of Deuteronomy out of its cycle right now, the piece where we recount the evils of the Amalekites, Amalek, who picks at our weakest and infiltrates and attacks. And we are told that Amalek is the forever enemy of the people of Israel. And in fact, it's so challenging that we're supposed to blot their name out of memory. The other tradition is to stay in the reading cycle where we are with Tetzaveh, which we're doing here. And it's the piece in Exodus where we are putting together pieces of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and the adornments of the priests. And there's a really interesting piece to it. So on Shabbat Zachor, we can remember the horrible stuff, or we can remember that we're building and we're growing. And what's really unique about the piece about growing is that Moses' name never appears in the Torah portion. Now, God's talking to somebody, and we were just going to assume it's Moses, because in the last chapter, God was talking to Moses, right? But Moses' name is never mentioned. And while the rabbis can't rewrite the Torah, they're the ones responsible for the breaks in the week's portions, which themselves end up being commentaries. So why would we read that piece tied to the Purim story? Who's not mentioned in the book of Esther? God, never. Now, Esther prays, Esther fasts, Esther does all the kinds of things, and of course there's this miraculous redemption that happens, but God's never mentioned in the book of Esther, and Moses is never mentioned in this week's Torah portion. So, think about the characters and how it plays out. If I said the word Haman, God, you guys are, I got to get you ready for Sunday. Okay, we'll try this again. If I said the word Haman, thank you. Oh, by the way, I have a grogger for Sunday night that a friend of mine made. It's about yay big, and it sounds like a machine gun. So anyway, the place would be great. The grogger is worth coming to see in any event. But Haman is this evil character who is caught up in only his own stuff and wants power and cares only about how people respond to him, aggrandizing him, making sure that he is elevated. And we find that out in several places. Of course, the most important piece to the story is when he says to Mordecai, bow, and what does Mordecai say? No. I bow only before God. And so Haman will go tell the king, another interesting character, he'll tell the king, all of the Jews are disobeying all of your laws, and therefore we should kill them all. And what does the king say? Okay. Sure, here's my ring. No questions, no nothing. And we debate in history who the real evil person is in the book of Esther. And some will say it's Haman because he's the evil person. But more people will argue that the king is really the problem because he is the masses that don't stand up and don't say anything. Einstein said silence is complicity, and Dietrich Bonhoeffer, one of the martyred Catholic priests in Nazi Germany, said that silence is the evil. And so when you don't stand up, you are creating the nightmare for not just you or not just circle, but perhaps the whole world. So when the king didn't stand up to Haman and say at least why and what rules and all of that, he condemned all these loyal citizens of the Persian Empire to destruction. And then when Mordecai becomes the prime minister and asks for the preemptive strike, the king says, okay, and without investigation or question, condemns his own people to destruction. So that's what you get out of the Esther story in terms of when people act badly and no one pays attention, horrible things happen. But Esther and Mordecai did pay attention. And Esther and Mordecai and people did rise up and said no. So despite the king's lack of concern and Haman's evil, there's redemption. So we move to the week's portion, and the portion starts, God says, tell the people of Israel to do this and tell the priests to do this. And like I said, we're presuming he's talking to Moses, but since Moses isn't mentioned, the rabbis say, no, God's talking to us. We are the ones that are supposed to make sure that everything is in order. It's incumbent upon us to make sure that the people who are supposed to be doing the things they're supposed to be doing are doing the things they're supposed to be doing. And if the community of Israel is supposed to move forward, it has to happen because we are the ones that accept that responsibility. So with the book of Purim, you can't rely on God. You got to stand up and you got to do it. And there is redemption if you do the work of redemption. And when you get to the book of Exodus, into this week's Torah portion, you can't even say, okay, God's not going to do it, but there'll be a Moses, there'll be a somebody who will do it? No, that somebody is us. And so, Shabbat Zachor, we have to remember that redemption doesn't happen unless we take a stand. And we have seen this throughout history. When we have been silent, horrible things are happening. And we see it play out in the world against us, and we see it play out in our own world right now. And so, I was at the Rabbinic Council meeting yesterday, and we were talking about the Federation's Yom HaAtzmaut commemoration. And I asked the question, what is the tenor of Yom HaAtzmaut this year going to be? And they looked at me and I said, I love that Israel is here, 75th anniversary. I serve on 2 rabbinic councils for 2 different Zionist organizations. And what I see coming out of Israel with the government as it stands right now is challenging. They're looking at undoing the law of return retroactively. They're looking at divesting the Supreme Court of its power so that Bibi doesn't get indicted. The things that are happening right now from this, Meir Kahane was declared a terrorist. Rabbi Meir Kahane was declared a terrorist in Israel. Okay? The second command of Israel is a devout follower of Meir Kahane. And we can't say, oh, it's over there. Because what happens if this wave continues, my children aren't Jewish. Because they won't accept my wife's conversion, my late wife's conversion. Okay? How many of us have loving families that will be completely discounted as Jews because the government has decided that in Israel, only the people they want to matter. And so we have to make sure that we say something. And I don't know that Yom HaAtzmaut at the Federation celebration is the time and place for that conversation, but I did say, but there better be something that we talk about concurrent with that celebration so that we make sure we talk about loving Israel means holding it accountable. How many parents love their children best by saying, oh, do whatever you want to do? It's okay. That's not love. Love is investiture. And if we're going to say that we have Ahavat Yisrael at heart, the love for Israel at our hearts, and we're going to strive to make sure that it's appreciated and that it is Metsuyan, which is Hebrew for excellent, which is what Zionism is all about. That excellence has to come with accountability. And so what can we do? We don't have to be silent. We don't have to say it's over there. We don't have to do what so many American Jews say, and they're going to do what they want to do. Because we need a healthy and a strong Israel. We need to know through history that there's always a place that stands up for who we are, who we're supposed to be. And so on this Shabbat Zachor, it's not just remembering the Amalekites. And it's not just remembering that when people have stood up in certain circumstances, they made a difference. Because it's not the certain circumstances. We have to do this every day. We have to be vigilant. And Shabbat Zachor should be a transitive noun and not an intransitive one. Transitive means it's an ongoing and everyday obligation for us to demonstrate our love by asking for accountability. There and here. So as we celebrate Purim, and then as we're going to come to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Israel, let's make sure that we remember that it matters. And it's not a day to have cake and punch, and Purim isn't a day for Hamantashen, and yes, we're going to have some fun on Sunday night, but there's a very serious message about what it means for us to take stock of who we are and make sure that we can pass it on to the next generation who will also value it and take stock in who we are. Amen. Amen. We're going to continue in our Siddur on page 586. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise.
actually going to be singing in English, so it'll be the middle of page
587.
587.
The words that would traditionally follow the adoration, Benemar, they're on page 591. Before we go there, I'd just like to point out that the Hebrew, on that day, God will be one and God's name will be one. It doesn't mean that God will be Jewish and we'll all speak Hebrew. It means that we have a lot of work to do in this world to make sure that we dignify everyone around us and to hold life sacred, not just the ones who see the world through the lens that we see it, because ultimately it's the humanity that moves us and keeps us alive. So. Our thoughts turn to those whose earthly lives ended this week and years past. We hold them in our hearts while we can't in our hands. This week's Yortsites: Liebman Adler, Maurice Altaker, Louise Brenner, Joseph Claster, Molly Cohn, April Deloach, Walter Fox, Louis C. Friedman, Sidney Haftman, Sam Levy, Edgar Marks, Melvin Portnoy, Barbie Schauf, Charles Silver, Clara Nell Sweeney MacArthur, Jacob Alt, Gussie Blank, Celia Buch, Joseph Cohn, Richard Coran, Stuart Fleischman, Rosa Frank, Benjamin Gainsbourg, Carol Louise Hess Kramer, Meyer Jacobs, Romaine Sadler Menaker, Hannah Salkin, Mark Shermer, Louis Spitalny, and Bernard Zaritsky. Are there other annual Yortsites being observed this week? Zichanam livracha, may the memories that they leave to us always lead us to blessing. Kaddish is on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchut, v'chayachon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitchomam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort all who are bereaved, we say together, amen. Please be seated. So, Jeanette, you're going to read announcements tonight? You have the same set I've got, okay. You got the same set I have.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We have a lot of things going on here at the temple this month. Tomorrow is the rabbi's virtual Torah study at 9 o'clock in the morning. The text for this week is the book of Esther, bringing our best gifts to build God's community center. Also tomorrow, of course, we have the mitzvah of Cricket Bar. I love that name, Cricket. So Mazel Tov to the whole family. As the rabbi said, on Sunday, March 5th, we have our Purim, a Dr. Seuss spiel. So join us for that. It'll be, as the rabbi said, in the chapel. There'll be refreshments afterwards, and apparently a giant grogger. So you don't want to miss that. On March 12th, all the teens are invited to Can I Pitch on Yom Kippur, Jewish sports heroes, comedians and important people, also known as Why Do People Love Jewish Lawyers? So that's something also you don't want to miss. On March 12th, we're having a Kugel competition, and everyone is invited. I understand we already have 9 people who are submitting Kugels for the competition. Everyone's invited to eat the Kugels, and I know we have at least one of our judges here tonight, Dan Green, so it should be a lot of fun. Please join us on March 17th, Friday, March 17th, for our Sisterhood Shabbat. And after that, we are going to have a really nice oneg, so we hope that everyone will come. And just to let you know, we are also doing a drive for personal care items for Shalom House. If you're not familiar, it's a shelter for women, mothers, so we hope that everyone will help us participate in that. So again, Shabbat Shalom.
You rocked. You're wonderful. Thank you. So the official title, I had it here, is This is your put together at the last minute, hysterically disorganized but wonderfully musical, brilliantly written, and incredibly cute with brave actor Seuss Purim. Okay. Tomorrow morning Torah study, just as in case anybody wants to join us, we're going to look at the characters of the book of Esther because they're not what you think they are. Okay? Just throwing that out there. The website, the Zoom, we'd love to have you join us. And then, of course, we'll all join in here. So with that, we're going to acknowledge that this weekend becomes Purim as you have your song sheets. And Cantor Robin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. We're going to start with the side that says Chag Purim. And then we're going to turn it over and sing Wicked, Wicked Man.
Chag Purim, Chag Purim, Chag Gadol HaYehudim, Masichat Lashani, Zmirot Rekudim, Havana Risha Rash Rash Rash, Havana Risha Rash Rash Rash, Havana Risha Rash Rash Rash,
English you can read.
It's that happy holiday, we make noise with our toy, sing and dance and play. Let's hear the groggers, rush, rush, rush. Let's hear the groggers, rush, rush, rush. Let's hear the groggers, rush, rush, rush. As we say
Somebody sit for remember. Let's say okay. When they say amen. This does not bode well, folks.
Once there was a wicked,
wicked
man, and Haman was his name. So he would have murdered all the Jews, though they were not to blame, sir. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham Hamantashen. And Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he'd kill us all, oh my, how he did scare us. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham Hamantashen. When Esther, speaking to the king of Haman's plot, made mention, ha ha, said he, oh no, he won't, I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham Hamantashen. Of all his cruel and unkind ways, this little joke did cure him. And don't forget we owe him thanks for this jolly feast of Purim. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham Hamantashen.
So we are going to say Motzi. I'm going to have just a final thought and benediction, and then we've got Chal up here and an incredible oneg downstairs. So it's not a Jewish event unless you eat. Good. So, David, thank you for filling in tonight. It's great to have you here, and y'all come back now, right? Okay. Scott, thanks for being up there. Ken Robin, great to have you with us for all our Be Meets Vote weekends. So, with that, anybody who wants to consider themselves to be young, join me, please. So before we say Motzi, I'm just going to say that I hope that we move truly from strength to strength and chazak to strengthen each other. May we bring and share blessings, and as we go on our journey, may the world be better because we walk through it. Amen? Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
So with that, we're going to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody, and we'll see you downstairs, okay?
Shabbat Shalom.
Appreciate your help. Sorry it took me 3 times. These are 3 times to figure out what that major was.
Hey! Thank you so much. It's the good stuff today. Cinnamon sugar today.
Very good.
Yeah.
I do like the raisin one.
You like the raisin one too? good. I'm glad someone else liked
Get
that
little
one.
sweet spots when you eat it.
Oh, good.
Amen.